understand, or do I have to make it more clear? If you have an extra receptor in your eye, you see all the colours are different. Go and talk to these people. They paint in an array of colours that they see. Extra perception, you see. Now, so I'm perceiving a three-dimensional reality, using my eyes, my ears, my nose and my tastes and my skin to see. Like if I just close my eyes, that means that my skin's open wide, looking for danger, feeling vibration in a frequency that I can't hear. Now, this becomes clear in a higher state of frequency. When I'm in a higher state of being through my meditation theory, or I was taking any outside sources, drugs, and these kind of things, I felt and experienced the touch of the divine. But the second I close my eyes and reopen them, I feel bad inside. I start fighting the world and everything else around me through a genetically driven story. Now, if I'm to believe everything that I see, hear, smell, taste, it had to be trained so I could survive. Now, my parents were trained to survive by 4 different people who treated them badly. For whatever reasons. I know the reasons. Their parents treated them badly, and so on. So they learned with their skin to defend themselves in certain situations and scenarios. My father was taught that his sword was more mightier than anything in the world, when in actual fact, the woman's shields are the most powerful thing. All of man has tried to stop a woman's orgasm because it turns to DMT eventually, and they get the visions and they get to literally experience what Buddhas and all these other people are doing, but they don't understand it. They look at the man and think that he has demanded it. He is the divine. So all women look to their men as this divine being with a sword to come and make them feel one once more. A woman can do this alone and be one once more. She can get 100 in a row and she doesn't have to even be touched. She only has to imagine it and she can experience it. I can have tantric sex and not be touched and experience a huge amount of orgasms and not reveal any fluids. It's not a sexual thing, it's a mental thing, an inside feeling that, don't forget everybody, every feeling that you have, you feel it inside. So if you feel your feelings inside and you see the pictures in your head and everything else, that means if you imagine something amazing, you'll feel amazing. If you imagine something terrible, you will feel terrible. The chemical will get the body ready to protect itself in any way. So if you just think positively and loving, you see somebody in front of you who's lower, you hug them. If you see someone who's really happy, like a kid, you cuddle it. If you see a cat, you're all over it. Fear and love is that. That's right, so I got a little bit sidetracked. As always. From what I can gather, the Bible was written 2,000 years ago about a man who died and said things. So Jesus never had a pen in hand. Our whole religion is built around what's written in a book. But if they ever told you what that meant, you wouldn't believe it anyway. So you have to get into something to read it, start to finish, to understand what is being said. But it's written 2,000 years ago. We live a new language, a new way of speaking. We've got scientific proof of all of our surroundings, how we work, our chemical behaviour, what we think, feel. You can look up on the outsource and see everybody else suffering and know what to do, but then don't know how to cure you. Weird. Go and see Wim Hof. He just goes, he felt bad. traumatised. His wife's committed suicide. He saw a cold river and just went, I want to get in it. Went and got in it and went, did that a few times, came out, felt better. Weird. Right? He went back the next day and did the same thing. Felt better again. Basically, just stayed in that river over and over again every day. It was the only place he felt good. But when he went in, he went, eventually he just went under the water for about 8 minutes, curled up like a ball, saw all the chakra lights and everything that other Buddhas and other people are trying to tell you about in all different ways of light and different Bible structures and all this stuff in all this time that lies behind all of it there, to this point in time for you to find out what all of that meant. You don't pick one line, it's a single viewpoint. You go and find out from as many people as you can, and you consider everything they say, make up your own plan. Now, everybody who discovers something says they know. And when I say to people I know, we don't have a discussion about the ins, the outs, the coulds, the maybes, whether that's yellow or not, whether you see the same yellow as me, impossible. I generate what I think yellow is through my teachings from birth. Fact. Light hits that, goes in my eye, and I see the frequency. It's an electrical signal when it creates a vision in my brain using serotonin and other chemicals. And we all know this, but nobody actually realises that the picture is generated in your head. If the picture is generated in your head, it's a simulation. Imagine how much information you would need to protect yourself if I threw this book at you. You will automatically, when I throw the book, go, knock it out the way, boom. The next step is to have a go at me for doing so. No animal does that. You throw something at it, moves out the way in fear and runs away. Stays there till it feels better and comes back. Simple. A dog is not an angry animal. When it bites you, it's scared. But we think it's angry. That's us. So just one little other thought. Love. Nobody finished explaining it yet, which means it needs no explaining. But when you try to explain how much you love something, you lose the concept of the feeling of how wonderful it is. So the idea is we don't mention it, we feel it. And when I feel love and I walk past my friends, I want to hug them. Why? Because I see them in there, same as I was, broken, formed, all this programming behaviour. If you get up and clean your teeth and do all of this stuff automatically, have a little think. If that's automated, then that's mind control. Your parents mind controlled you to live in this world, but they were controlled before you. So how many times of generations do you have to go back to see where the control started from? And maybe you might have a look and find a reason why there might be control out there, why they might only want you to see one vision of what they want. Now, in my studies, I've found that some of you might understand this, some of you might not, that in quantum physics, when we look, the waveform collapses and matter is formed. It's oscillating parts of energy, it's just nothing there. We know this as people who've researched this. Basically, human DNA instructs matter, emotions instruct matter. That means a single thought is capable of driving a chemical in this body to drive actions, which means that a thought, a bad thought, negative on anything, creates a negative energy. So if we think in a positive fashion, everything in our lives is positive. You can change the vision of it. You're loving, compassionate. You put your past to bed. You don't blame parents because you've gone back and searched for the reasons why. If there's 2 million years of trauma that lies inside a species, any one of you is at the pinnacle of your species. I'm at the pinnacle of my species. So it's for me to find the good and the bad and do the right thing. And for me to save the planet, I will have to go quiet and concentrate on myself and myself alone. And then you will ask me how I did it. When you ask me how I did it, I shall tell you. It'll take me 2-3 years to get you to the point that I'm at so that you can accept the truth. When you accept the truth, you'll realise you're a 5 perception thing. No, you have 8 perceptions. 6, 7 and 8. You won't believe me because you're told there's 5. You know there's a 6th sense, but you learn to deny it. But the truth, when you know the truth, you hold it in, you don't say anything to anybody. You know. Build it up, breaks you. Till you scream the truth in their face. But you knew that second. But you've lost the ability to read 6th sense conceptual thoughts, where it comes at you in all areas and everything else. And this is amazing, you know. Now you have to try and explain it. Now in the beginning, and with my knowing, I don't have to explain nothing. I don't. I can call for things, I can get things, I can think about things. Not only that, I conceptually understand when something's coming at me, and I can describe it, and I can ask the questions with the person that I know, whose ego is gone, and I go, yeah, I thought that bad thought about you. I knew it. So this whole structure comes from the factor I was broken. I was a man with fractured eyes, ADHD and autism, 3 to 5, no glasses, read the world wrong, got hit, misunderstood. I thought hatred was coming at me, hated my family, I thought they hated me back. So all that kind of stuff. Drinks for 30 years, shatters him, goes to work. I try to stab somebody, my friend, because they walked in my eye line. Something's amiss with this whole fucking structure going on inside of me. So I still fracture, I break, I come home, I've got a nice lady helping me and everything. I fracture and break in front of her. She doesn't want to talk to me still to this day because of my behaviour. Fractured and broke. Eventually, told my mum some certain aspects of things that happened, opened the door to therapy, things that happened to me I'd forgotten about. She gave me some information. I went home, considered what she said because I needed to get better. I was still fractured over and over. I don't drink anymore, but I drink a lot of coffee, and it's very hard for me to stop. So I'm still in all my therapies and everything else to stop the cannabis and stop the coffee, ritual drinks, and the things that makes me come back. Anyway, I digress. I have that therapy, it's sexual help therapy. I learning about my alpha wave brain waves from 0 to 3 and what that represented subconsciously. 4 to 7 in habitual learning, and another brain wave, and other brain waves as you get up to 13, 14, 15, and your brain closes in, and reality as you move forward in it. And you're automated to defend yourself in certain ways. So I was learned to defending myself in various different ways. I would kick you in the shins for some unknown reason. But the thing is, you were damning me in your brain, so I know I kicked you in the shins. I conceptually as a child knew that and kicked out. I got damned all the time for the things that I did and stuff like that. I never really understood why. Now I have a little concept. Judgment. Why we judge. I think it's an internal shame. Now, I'm ashamed of, it's a bit rude, I'm ashamed of my bottom. I assume, I haven't asked these questions, but I assume I would have had my bottom in the air, pulling my bum apart and stuff like that as a child, and I'd have been told off, and the shame that my parents would have felt for that particular thing would have been put upon me. But I assume as a child I was getting rid of air, and I knew as a child how to do this. So as an adult my entire life, I need a trump all the time it seems. But the person that I know and any other people in the world, I've always told them put their hands on the floor and spread it and get the air out. No shame in that moment and walk away. They don't seem to want to do it or anything else, but I never bent over that way and did it for myself. So it seems that I'm holding in air even in a shameful way. So that if I ever see a child or anybody flash a bottom hole, I judge them and judge them. Now that comes to me, comes through my processes, and I feel ashamed. I feel ashamed. Oh, I feel ashamed for you. No, I feel the shame from my past. So we could have all been treated in very weird ways when as children we were actually solving our pains and problems. It's very, this is one of those major things that is opening my eyes. Anyway. So as I go back through, I had counselling for 6 months. By the time I got to the last 2 sessions, I didn't want to talk about it anymore, because I realised that every time I came off the phone, I would experience the same things I went through. So I was, again, I hadn't really quite realised still. I was told to write down the music I could hear. I couldn't speak the word pain without a tear, but I did it and wrote it out. If you go on my Facebook, go back to last year, to July, you'll see my travel all the way from the first song I wrote up until songs I write today. Most of them have an undertone in them that will be changed soon, because I'm learning and the story is completing, so the words in certain reference points will change. It's a damaged story, it's difficult, it's hard to listen to at times, but like a movie, it's got a glorious ending. So my father finds it hard to watch sometimes, I would imagine. My mother watches it, relishes in every moment of it, because she can absolutely see the joy in me as I'm getting things off my chest in certain relative tones. I go to 4 separate groups in a week to do with substance awareness, relapse prevention, acceptance and commitment, another one called IRP. I've done these for about a year. I fell out with my guys all over the place and blamed them in the wrong places until somebody said, turn the mic off. I turned it off and just listened a bit, and then I'd interject with my thoughts and feelings, and a lot of people seem to understand where I was coming from. A few people in the groups have changed since I've known them. The groups got stronger. The format, when COVID came, with the way that we could all talk online, it was enjoyed. They're going to use that in the future for pulling people in to help them out who are having breakdowns. I'm doing a thing called The Gift, where I do planning things. These are all around me, all daily objects to keep myself on track, so I don't pick up a drink again in any reason or relative form. Now, this kind of behaviour is habitually losing against what I'm thinking. The coffee, back to the decaf, but I don't seem to be able to function as a human at that point at all. I'll get very tired. But anyway, I've got those things to work out. So my story continued. That's where I'm up to and at now. I've sold traumas in my mum. I've sold traumas in my daughter. I've sold traumas in her mother. I've sold traumas in my friend, and traumas that she has in her family, in her own reference points. I've helped many friends. I mentor people now as much as I can. And you know what? I fracture daily with the upsets of trying to work out what's going on. So I basically perceive a little bit more of the universe than you guys do, and I'm now beginning to work out what the information I'm being given by my body means, and changing that behaviour from programmed childhood traumas to adult in the moment of now. The past doesn't really matter, they're just fractions coming at me to defend me against something coming at me. So if you, like I said, throw that at me, I'll defend myself. And the oneness means that if I do that and that comes at me, I'll go like that, I'll go, sorry, I was in your way, and carry on my day. Love and compassion. I don't go, oi, throw it back. I'm more likely to just go like that, catch it, put it down and live my life, because that's what this does. It works at such a high rate. There we are. Now, if you question any of it, you're going to end up in a state of PTSD at some point, and that's what happened to me. So, I was attacked in a violent manner. Things happened to me that were terrible, but the forgiveness that I have and feel means that I would quite happily sit with him there and see where he's at and see where I can get him to, because his actions towards me was pure love, mistrained, pure love, based upon what he was taught. So I would much rather read his father's story, his mother's story, his book. I would find it a poignant story of terribleness to hopefully his awakening moments of his own behaviours and his changes. Only has a good effect on the planet and the world around you and the people around you. You call the traumas in your families and everybody else. So I think whoever I'm talking to right now, who's in the pinnacle and the point of their existence today, can change everything that happened in the past before them, because they are the beacon now to curing it all. My vision seems to think that 3-dimensional reality is here, 4th dimension's there, 5th's there, and it carries on. And while we're here, like mayflies in a bucket, the little grubs, and we go up to the next level. But down here we're going, let us know, let us know. The flies hang around, waiting to tell the next one before they can go. It's all right. And then we come and they go, I know now. I've travelled my journey. I know now what it all is. You can go. And they go to the 5th dimension and go. And then your parents will wait so they can tell you they're sorry, etc., etc. Now, one of those little grubs is in the tank, and it's me. And I know now. So when I fly and get my wings, I'm going straight to the 5th dimension. I don't have to wait for my daughter to apologise. My mum doesn't have to wait there anymore. It means her mum Winnie can go now back to the 5th dimension. It means when my mum, because she believes all of this herself in her own reality format, her Lord and Saviour and all of that. So it means that when she leaves the bucket, she will go straight back to the 5th dimension. She won't have to sit in the 4th dimensional weird time structural thing that we think is blah blah blah, loads of stuff I know, don't worry about that. So I'm personally going to go straight back to the 5th dimension in my belief format. Now I also believe what I believe is true, because that's how reality is formed in me and in you. So this is as where I'm going in life at the moment. That's it. If you have any questions or anything else, or if this has any poignance to you and you want to talk to me, just get in contact. If this has no poignance to you and you think I'm crazy, that's fine. You can carry on. It's not a problem. I'm only looking for the people who know. Nobody else. Because when you know, and then it's you know. And then that's fine. And you're all on a travel to knowing. You just don't know yet. And hindsight's a wonderful thing, don't forget that. I love you all.